Hi there, warm welcome back to Under Ytan, this web TV series where we continue to meet and conversate with interesting business leaders here in Sweden, but also around the world. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm here together with Krister Asplund. Hi Krister.
Hi.
Welcome to this little show.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're here in Stockholm in Atelier.
A very special place.
A very special place. Where are we?
We're in the, I would call it the Absolut vodka brand home.
Yeah.
And nowadays, all our brands, but we see some Absolut vodka behind us.
Yeah.
We've been here for a few years to have an environment close to where we see Absolut in the big cities.
Yeah.
Similar environment to take people here in Stockholm.
Okay, nice. You have a pretty unique journey with this company. That's why we wanted to get you on this program and listen to that story.
Yeah.
I think you're a bit of an icon, just like the brand we see here behind us, the brand of vodka itself. So when did that journey, we'll start with you. The brand is some years old as well. But
I hear that very often hear that my story is unique, but to me it's not really special. I just started 1982 when I was 28 years old with Absolut, and moved down to where it's produced in Åhus, Skåne.
Yeah.
I promised my wife to be there for 3 years. I fell in love completely with the product.
Yeah.
The passion hit me, and I'm still with the brand. So that has been, in that sense, it has been a journey. When I joined Absolut, they hired me to fix the production to reach 5 million bottles. Today we produce 125 million bottles, and so it has been a long journey.
Quite the journey.
Mm.
How, if we start, this is because I think this program we explore this sort of new generation of businesses, if you will, and business leaders that have a passion for not only the product and the brand, but actually for doing good things to society and to the people working in the company and the customers and so forth. What is your view? And of course, it's not being a vodka producer. That's not maybe as natural for some other companies to actually find that sort of good, being that positive force in the world.
True. No. It started in a very special way. If we go back to the 80s, already in the late 80s, we turned the whole team within production to a brand building team rather than a production team. Mm-hmm. So we've been part of building the brand. Yeah. And I remember in the late 80s when the marketing director at that time tried to make me excited about brand values. And a young engineer said, "Why do I need brand values? Tell me what to produce." A year later, I told the architect when we were going to build a new plant that whatever you do, the new architecture has to be a mirror of our brand values. So I was hooked on brand values. And along with the brand values, which at that time was clarity, simplicity, perfection. Mm-hmm. And very soon, part of that became an obsession about environment, obsession about how we collaborate with the surroundings, with the regions. We started already in the late 90s to develop our own farming concept together with the Farmers Association to assure that we have a long-term industrial way of farming wheat. And we buy today 20% of the whole wheat production in Scania. Yeah. So it's a big thing, and that has been a part of the brand values as long as I can remember, to also care about everything else. Today it's called, I think it's so funny because today it's called CSR and nowadays it's called BSR, brand social responsibility. Yeah. And when I see that concept, I say, yeah, but wait a second, we started that 20 years ago. Yeah. We've always been obsessed with two things, quality and the actual, everything that is today is CSR.
Yeah, the way of how you produce, how you care,
Yes.
the responsibility you have for the environment, for the farmers, like you said, all these sweet farmers in the Skåne region, this part of southern Sweden. For you who are not familiar with the Swedish geography, you're big, obviously. Like you said, 25% of all the wheat that's being produced there. So this thing, what is the thing with Åhus? Because this is, I think, some obviously Absolut people out there know this, but the rest of the world might not know that every single drop
is produced in
Absolut vodka is produced in this little village in the south of Sweden.
It has a long story. The spirit production started in 1906.
Yeah.
And it was started by the Lars Olsson Smith empire. Not him personally, I think he was at the end of his career in 1906. And he is actually the man, if you don't know that, there's an old man on the medallion on the Absolut bottle. That is Lars Olsson Smith. Yeah. So it's really the heritage we have. And so Åhus is a natural thing for spirit production. Also due to the fact that spirit was produced throughout Skåne. There were hundreds of distilleries, thousands of distilleries if we go back a bit more than 100 years. Yeah. Since 1967 there's one distillery, nowadays our distillery. Yeah. So that was a natural thing. And if I go back to Åhus as the place for production and connecting that to what we discussed before, CSR. So for the people, what we care about, we talk very often about environment, but we care about as much about the people. That is number one. It's actually center of our CSR circle. In the center is our employees. And secondly, all our collaborators and suppliers like all the farmers and the region. And so it's really it has become, I very often say that the production in Åhus is very similar to the old Bruksort. I don't know the name in English, but a small village that is dedicated to one big product. Yeah. It could be Sandvik for special steel things, or they could be anything. But it has everyone is proud of the product, and we live the brand. We live the brand, and everyone has that passion. Yeah.
And I know, speaking of passion, that's this Bruks mentality in Åhus. I know you've taken quite an amazing journey with these people. I know when you joined 30 plus years ago, you were not, was it 50, 60 people?
We were 60. I remember I was number 63.
63, there you go. And now you're a couple of hundred.
We're still only 300. We've increased the production 25 times, but the number of people 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times, yeah.
But
so they know they are very passionate, dedicated, loyal people.
Definitely.
Still, I know perfection is still your core value, but I know they still have it.
The brand has changed it, but locally it's still clarity, simplicity, perfection. Okay. And you can question if all our new products are just simplicity, but part of the game.
Part of the game. Mm. But there's a notion I've heard that you call beyond better.
Yeah, that's an old story. That's an old story. When I joined in the 80s, I was a young production guy, and it took 3 months for what I thought at that time very stable, slightly older ladies caring about the quality of the product. In 3 months they had taught me that even if it's tough to deliver next week, you don't touch quality. Absolut is about perfection. And then we were starting an Absolut Academy, educating people all over the world. And the marketing guy that I did that together with, he came to Åhus and he should learn how we produce the product. Mm. He was standing on the line and one of the ladies threw away a bottle as reject. Mm. And he picked it up and he couldn't find something wrong with it. Mm. And he asked her and she said, there's a little black dot that shouldn't be there. And he said, isn't this unnecessary good? Yes, she said, that's exactly how Absolut should be. She took the bottle and threw it into the waste bin. He went back to Stockholm and told the story. And everyone in Stockholm said they're crazy in Aarhus. They don't accept anything but perfection. And nowadays, that's part of our marketing, and they have chosen the English expression beyond better.
Yeah, instead of unnecessary good.
Yeah, instead of unnecessary good, which sounds like a Swedish direct translation. But no, it's that's an interesting story, because I think we still mainly focus on the product. But I'd say for everything we do, it's a relentless pursuit of perfection, continuous improvement. I mean, just the way we have developed. I think I'm mostly proud of the way we have developed people. We hardly have any operators any longer. They have different roles. They are in charge of maintenance or planning, so they are. Just as an example, the operators, they do 2/3 of the maintenance that 15 years ago was made by experts. And then what happened to the experts? They are instead involved in development projects, new projects, new equipment, and so everyone is happy. Everyone has a journey of development, and we all need that.
Absolutely, a way of growing within the company and with the company. How do you balance? You mentioned continuous improvement, and the commitment to being responsible and caring for the environment and so forth. Because that's speaking of CSR. I think we're beyond. You are, and many other companies are beyond CSR as a sort of tick in the box thing, and we have to care a little bit, but actually to integrate it in our production, in everything we do, in our business.
If I look at it, if I go back to my roots and look at it as an engineer, if you start with that on the agenda when you start a project, it's very often not a big thing. If you do it the old way, just by optimal engineering, and then afterwards try to fix the negative impact, then you're in trouble. Then you have a difficulty to combine continuous improvement and your responsible way of thinking. But nowadays it's on the agenda from day one. So on the checklist you have these areas as well. So I don't see. Yes, we spend some extra money here and there to make it in a better way, but we are convinced that it pays off long term. We're convinced. We know that it pays off long term. So that's for sure. Just for instance, the whole operation is CO2 neutral. And that is an interesting story, because we didn't start by necessarily look for renewable energy sources. What we did, we started by reducing the consumption of energy to a minimum. And when we had done that, the small part that was left that we couldn't get rid of, we actually compensate for, but that is a minimal part. For the rest, we run it with energy savings or recycling, and we use only green electricity. So and I'd say there is no extra cost.
And that's part of this sort of genuine standpoint you make, that you start from this. You call it also. You talk about one source.
We call it one source, which is a thing that is difficult to communicate to the world. One source to us means that every single drop of Absolut comes from Aarhus. So if you have a drink of Absolut anywhere in the world, and you're not happy, call me. I'm responsible. So it's one source, and we are almost the only vodka brand in the world that can claim that everything comes from one source, and it has gone through our quality needle's eye. So that's.
How have you been managed to do that? I mean, a lot of other, not just in the spirits world, with production being located to further east in India and China and so forth, but you really built this whole thing there in Aarhus. What has been? How have you been able to do that?
It's a funny story behind that. I remember in the mid-'80s when we realized that we're situated I wish people could come and see Aarhus. We're situated in the middle of that little village, in the main street.
Yeah.
And everyone said it's impossible to expand the production in the center of the village. So said I in the middle 80s. And at that time, I told the vice president of Vin and Sprit at that time that we have to move the production to the industrial site. And he said, yeah, I'm fine. You can get the money if you can show me how you will move the soul of the Absolut brand to a totally unsexy, terrible industrial site. I never tried. So what we did was that we optimized the use of every square inch of that block in the village. And 2008, we produced 107 million bottles in that block in the center of the city. At the end of the day, we had to make a satellite with a little extra capacity in the unsexy industrial site. But that was like 30 years after I had suggested it the first time.
Yeah.
So and the reason why we stay is that it is the brand soul, it is the brand story.
Yeah.
And it also, what we talked about before, it's the care about quality and CSR issues that has made us stay there, because we control everything from A to Z. We in May, I will already go out in the fields and see how the wheat looks for this season. And we've done that every year as long as I can remember. So that is a true passion for what will reach the consumer at the end of the line. So it's
the passion is there. What is your what is your passion and drive in all this?
There are two things. I love this brand, and also I love the fact that this brand made a stubborn 28-year-old engineer 50% marketing, which I had no idea was existed in there somewhere. And then I must admit, I love my people. I love the people in Aarhus and the passion we share. I mean, it's if we have a difficulty in the old days when we had difficulty to deliver, and we had to find ways to do it in the weekend. There was never a problem to get so many volunteers that we had to say, no, we can't handle more volunteers. So it's really the passion of the team that is, the brand and the passion of the team is very, very strong.
Yeah, can imagine. Let's look. Susie, can you get us a bottle, maybe one of the classic ones? I want to see if we find any black spots on it.
No, that is
there we go.
That is actually this year's. This is last year's end of the year campaign. This is a bottle replica of the Andy Warhol painting that he made for us 1984.
And here's the guy you were talking about.
Here's the guy we're talking about in a special expression with a little color. That's Lars Olsson Smith. So this was a very special campaign. It's going back to the history of it.
And you have a number of brands. We won't go into that, but I think that's part of your unique story, like you said yourself, being this super engineer, but just falling in love with the brand, and now being on having one side on that on the marketing side.
True.
And apart, it's a bit of a tradition for us in these talks we do to also do a little bit of thinking about the future. Let's say it's now at 2015, and we sit here in Stockholm in April. What if it was 2025? You can dream a little about for you personally and Absolut, but also more, because this is of course the message we want to send across, that to follow the hearts and follow the passion and do things that's good for you, for the company, but hopefully also the speaking of purpose and profits. And I know you also, although your mission is, I mean, you sell vodka, but your mission is to elevate social moments. You talk a lot about promote responsible drinking. so you want to take care. How, if you look 10 years ahead, what
that's a difficult question.
Culture?
I think with the plans we have, we will be definitely 2025 be seen as a very responsible company.
Yeah.
We will have added. We've been gone beyond our own production when it comes to environmental impact. We will have reduced the impact from transport. We will have worked together with the glassworks to reduce the energy consumption. We will have done a lot of things that we have in our plan.
Yeah.
So that is one thing, and we will have continued. We have one brand that is rolled out seriously in the US now, which is our number one priority, and I'm the master distiller. So it happens to be for Absolut Ilex, which is a super, or we call it, it's a luxury vodka.
Yeah.
That brand by 2025 will be a big brand, and exactly what you said, it will be a luxury product, consumed responsibly, really elevating social moments. So we will continue to grow the company in a good way, in a responsible way.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Even if I will have retired by then, but that's another story. I will see to that my succession is as dedicated as we've always been.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
And one thing else, also another trend we see in the world now is that also reminds me when I see this bottle, because I know that you're also sort of opening up now to ideas of actually, how can we do this better? How can we reuse these bottles better?
That's true.
How can we recycle them in a better way?
That's true.
And I think it's cool to have this talk with you, although you're half marketing. I mean, a lot of the people watching this they know the brand Absolut Vodka, but hopefully there's a bunch of engineers that get inspired from your story as an engineer, and the production part, which is so a big part of the soul of the company, not only these amazing brands.
No.
So I think that's very cool. And now you're also a little bit opening up the production world to the people in some of these, with the Creative Space Initiative and so forth.
Yes,
to see what you can explore together.
Yeah, exactly. And the number one thing would be to use lobbying to make some of our major markets improve their recycling. If you look at Sweden, I think we recycle over 90% of the glass, which is something that every country should do. And I think it will be a natural thing in the future. And if it can be reused in an even more creative way, I would love that. Then we're back to, in a way, the creative side of Absolut. It's probably why, when we're talking about why are you so passionate about Absolut, we've always had a creative side, which to an engineer is fantastic to be part of, and also a little wit and fun, and in a bold way. And if we can find ways to recycle the bottle that way, I'm the first one to say hooray.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We need more fun in life.
Yeah. Super.
Krister, great to catch up again.
Thank you.
As always.
Thank you.
And you guys too, thanks a lot for following us. More great talks coming up, so stay tuned. In the meantime, take care and follow your hearts out there, and see you soon.
Bye.